Ryan's voice echoed through the narrow tunnel behind me. You good? I took a moment to steady my breath before offering a grin. You're going to love this. By the time he wriggled through the passage and dropped down beside me, I had already turned my headlamp outward, sweeping its beam across the vast, yawning cavern ahead. The sight stole the breath from my lungs. The chamber was immense, its ceiling towering high above, adorned with jagged stalactites that shimmered faintly under our lights. The walls bore intricate ripples of mineral deposits, remnants of ancient subterranean water flows, and at the heart of it all, stretching across the uneven rock floor, was a pristine pool of crystal clear water. Ryan let out a low whistle. Holy. We had ventured into countless caves together, but there was something different about this one. Something untouched, undisturbed by time or human interference. He turned to me, grinning. Dude, we might have just found something historic. I exhaled, unable to tear my gaze away. Yeah. Yet, beneath the exhilaration, a peculiar unease settled over me. There was something in the air, something I couldn't quite articulate, a weight. I shook off the sensation and reached for my guideline. In uncharted caves, one rule remains sacrosanct. Always mark your way back. A thin, unspooling rope anchored at the entrance, serving as a lifeline in case things went south. I secured the first anchor point to a sturdy rock formation. Ryan double-checked it, giving the rope a firm tug. Satisfied, we turned our attention to the uncharted depths ahead. As we ventured further, the cave grew stranger. The formations took on unnatural shapes, stalagmites twisted into spirals, others hollowed out with odd, precise punctures, as though something had bored through them deliberately. Ryan ran a hand over one. I've never seen formations like these. I traced my flashlight across a nearby column. The stone was eerily smooth in some places, almost polished, yet jagged and cracked in others, resembling desiccated flesh. It didn't feel entirely natural. Then I saw the bones. Not full skeletons, just scattered remnants, a jawbone stripped of teeth, tiny vertebrae that could have been mistaken for pebbles. Some were minuscule, rodent-like. Others were longer, thicker. Ryan crouched beside me, picking up a fragment. He turned it over in his palm, running his thumb along the brittle edge. Think an animal got trapped down here? I shrugged, though my stomach clenched. I guess so. The entrance caved in. It makes sense something got stuck. We fell silent, inspecting the remains. The cavern whispered its secrets in the hush of dripping water. Then came a sound. Faint, hollow, the soft tapping of something against stone. I tapped Ryan's shoulder, pointing toward the source. Beyond a rock, something shifted, a subtle disturbance in the dust, the kind of vibration that suggested movement. Ryan swung his flashlight toward it, but the beam caught only empty space. I exhaled sharply, pushing the thought away. Caves played tricks on the ears. Ryan smirked. Man, your paranoid self hasn't changed a bit. I forced a chuckle. Just saying, something brought those bones down here. He rolled his eyes and pressed forward. That's when his flashlight illuminated the drawings. Primitive etchings adorned the stone. I had seen petroglyphs before, depictions of hunts, ancient firelit gatherings, but these were different. At first, they followed the familiar pattern. Human figures wielding spears, bows, torches, standing triumphant over deer, bison, birds. But then, the images changed. The figures were no longer hunters. They were running, fleeing. Something immense pursued them, a shape distorted, its form a chaotic mess of lines, as though the artist had failed to fully comprehend what they had seen. Ryan traced his fingers over the carvings, silent now. The images continued. The smaller figures fought back, jabbing at the creature with weapons, smearing dark pigments across the stone to depict its wounds. But the thing never fell. And then the final series of carvings. The figures had stopped fighting. They had been driven into a cave, their silhouettes hunched in terror. And standing at the entrance, blocking their escape, was it? The last image chilled me to the bone. A lone figure, trapped. I took a step back, my breath shallow. Ryan swallowed hard. "How old do you think this is?" I asked. He hesitated before offering a weak chuckle. "Maybe our ancestors had too many of the wrong mushrooms." We pressed forward, deeper into the dark. Then the sound came again. A wheezing breath. We froze. Ryan turned his flashlight toward the passage behind us. What was that? I forced a swallow. Probably just rock shifting. Even as I said it, I didn't believe it. The cave was still. No tremors, no movement. Only silence. Ryan exhaled, unconvinced. We spread out, scanning the chamber when Ryan suddenly hissed, "Whoa! Over here!" I turned. At first, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. A collection of pale, broken shapes against the cavern wall. But as I stepped closer, the details sharpened. A skeleton. Human in form, but larger, thicker, the skull broader, the ribcage more robust. Ancient, and covered in deep, unmistakable bite marks. Ryan's grin faded. Something ate this thing. A chill ran down my spine. Yeah. Then the wheezing returned. Closer. Ryan stiffened beside me, his flashlight trembling. I turned mine toward the tunnel we had crawled through. A void of blackness. Nothing moved. Then, a flicker. A shape. Fast. Ryan inhaled sharply. Dude. The beam of my flashlight flickered, dimmed. Then it rushed us. Silent. One moment, the cavern was empty. The next, something lunged from the darkness. A grotesque figure. Skin stretched too tight. Pale. Patchy. Like something that had molted but never fully regrown. Ryan screamed. The impact sent him sprawling, his flashlight spinning across the floor. Blood. Then it was gone. Vanished. The wheezing resumed, taunting. Ryan sat up, clutching his arm, his sleeve torn, crimson staining the fabric. We need to get out. Now. We turned for the tunnel. The wheezing followed. A game. We reached the narrow passage, our lifeline. Ryan pulled himself in, but then... My hand. His voice strangled. I twisted. What? A pause. I can't feel my fingers. Panic clawed at my throat. I heard him struggle, dragging himself forward with one arm. Then, a breath. Right behind us. Low, wet. The wheezing had stopped. Now it was just breathing. Move! Ryan gasped. I scrambled, kicking, clawing. Ryan grunted, then silence. I reached the exit, gasping in the open air. "Ryan!" I screamed. I aimed my flashlight into the tunnel. Nothing. Then, a crunch. Wet. Splintering bone. A sickening, muffled chewing. I reeled back. The cave groaned, then collapsed. Ryan was gone. I called for help, told them everything. But they never wrote it down. They never found him. And deep beneath the earth, something is still breathing. The days that followed were a blur of search efforts, interrogations, and the creeping, gnawing dread that something remained unfinished. The rescue teams worked tirelessly, their floodlights illuminating the broken rock, their voices echoing into the darkness. But they found nothing. No trace of Ryan. No clothing. No blood. No remains. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. I told them what had happened. Or at least, I tried. I told them about the creature, the wheezing breath, the carvings on the wall that seemed to whisper warnings from a time long forgotten. The officers exchanged glances. Their questions shifted in tone, subtly at first, then outright skeptical. "Son," one of them said, his hands folded on the table before him, "I need you to be honest with us. Did Ryan go in there willingly?" I stared at him, my throat dry. Of course. His eyes flickered with doubt. "And you're sure there wasn't an accident? A fall? Something you're afraid to tell us?" I clenched my fists beneath the table. "I told you what happened." The officer sighed and leaned back. "We've searched every inch of that collapse. No body. No signs of a struggle." He rubbed his temples. "Do you understand how that looks?" I understood. It looked impossible. It looked as though I had lost my mind. And maybe I had. The official report listed Ryan as missing, presumed dead. The case was left open, but without evidence, without a body, there was nothing more to be done. The earth had taken him, and I had nothing but my own words to prove otherwise. I stopped sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that passage. The last glimpse of Ryan, his flashlight trembling in the dark, his voice tight with fear. My hand, it's completely numb. The breath behind us, the silence that followed. I saw the carvings. The lone figure. Trapped. And then I heard it. Not in the cave. Not in my nightmares. But here, in my apartment. At first, I dismissed it. The mind plays tricks when it's burdened with grief. I heard wheezing in the hum of my air conditioning. I mistook the wind outside my window for ragged breaths. My own guilt was a weight that pressed against my chest. But then the noises grew clearer. One night, as I sat hunched over my laptop, trying to drown my thoughts in mindless distractions, I heard it. A faint scrape. Not from the wind. Not from the vents. But from inside the walls. I turned, pulse hammering. Silence. I held my breath. And then just barely audible. A breath. Low, wet, close. My stomach twisted violently. I stood up so fast my chair toppled over. The room was silent again. But the walls, they felt too close. I barely slept that night. And when I did, I dreamed of tunnels, tight, unrelenting. I dreamed of unseen hands brushing against my ankles in the dark. I dreamed of Ryan, trapped in the earth, staring up at me with hollow, unseeing eyes. I tried to tell myself it was grief, trauma, my mind clinging to something it couldn't process. But as the days passed, the noises didn't stop. They got worse. I would wake in the dead of night to the sound of shuffling. Not the distant creak of a building settling, not the imagined echoes of a restless city, but movement inside my walls. And then last night, the wheezing came back. Not faint, not distant. Right beside my bed. I bolted upright, my heart seizing in my chest. The room was dark, but I didn't need light to know I wasn't alone. The air felt wrong, thick, stagnant. The wheezing grew louder, rasping and unsteady. I reached for my phone with trembling fingers, my breath caught in my throat. My hand hovered over the screen, ready to turn on the flashlight. Then, a voice. Too tight. A garbled whisper, choked, strained. My blood turned to ice. I can't move. My fingers fumbled with the phone, desperate, shaking. And then, a wet crunch. A sickening, familiar sound. My body reacted before my mind could process. I slammed my hand on the lamp switch. Light flooded the room. Empty. The air was still. My pulse thundered in my ears. I sat there, frozen, for what felt like an eternity. Eventually, the sun began to rise, spilling pale light through my window. The wheezing was gone. The walls were silent. But I know the truth. The cave didn't take Ryan. Not entirely. And whatever is left of him, it's looking for a way out. I haven't slept since that night. Not really. I close my eyes, but sleep doesn't come. Only silence, thick and oppressive, pressing in around me like the weight of stone. I tried to convince myself that it was my mind unraveling, that grief and exhaustion had hollowed me out, leaving only paranoia in their place. But deep down, I know the truth. He's still here. At first, I thought the wheezing was a lingering echo, a trick of my own breath catching in my throat, a phantom sound imprinted on my memory. But it's not. It's real. It follows me. I hear it when I lie in bed, the soft, labored inhale, the wet, rattling exhale. I hear it in the bathroom, in the hush of steam rising from the shower, curling around me like unseen fingers. I hear it at work, in the spaces between conversations, in the muffled hush of the break room. And then last night, I saw him. It was just past midnight. I had been sitting at my kitchen table, staring at the untouched plate of food before me when the air changed. You don't notice it at first, not consciously, but your body knows. The way animals sense an approaching storm, the way silence in the woods means something is watching. I felt it before I heard it. That same awful breath. I turned slowly, my skin prickling. And there, standing in the dim threshold of the hallway, Ryan, or what was left of him. His head tilts to the side, the motion too slow, too deliberate. His mouth hangs open, lips cracked, throat struggling to form words that don't belong to him anymore. You're ready, he croaks. His voice is layered now, something deeper beneath it, something ancient, wet, wheezing. His limbs twitch, his body jerks forward. He's not hanging anymore. He's moving toward me. Fast. I turn and run. The woods blur around me, branches clawing at my skin. My legs burn, my lungs feel like they're collapsing in on themselves, but I don't dare stop. Because I can hear it. That breath. It's not just behind me anymore. It's inside me. Every inhale feels heavier, thicker. Like the air is turning into something I have to push through, wade through. Like it's becoming part of me. I trip. The world tilts. The ground slams into me, knocking the air from my lungs. I choke, claw at the dirt, try to push myself up. But my arms don't move. They're not mine anymore. A presence looms over me. Ryan, or the thing that took his place, stands at my feet, his hollow eyes locked onto mine, his lips part, revealing too many teeth. He crouches. "It's okay," he whispers. "I was scared too." My vision pulses, darkens at the edges. My own breath rattles in my chest, slow, labored, wet. I'm not breathing anymore. It is. My body feels distant. Disconnected. Ryan tilts his head, studying me. And then he reaches out. His fingers press against my forehead. A cold, suffocating pressure floods my skull. My mouth opens in a silent scream. And then I fall inward. I wake up. I'm standing in my apartment. The lights are off. The air is thick, damp. My hands feel wrong. Like they're just a little too long, the fingers bending in ways they shouldn't. I take a slow, wheezing breath. The sound echoes in the silence. And then, from the corner of the room, the mirror shudders. The reflection looking back at me isn't mine. Not anymore. The reflection is watching me. Not like a normal reflection, passive, mirroring my movements. It's waiting. Its head tilts a fraction of a second after mine. Its breath lags behind, like it's struggling to remember how to imitate me. I take a slow, deliberate step forward. So does it. But there's something off. Its lips don't part when I inhale. Its fingers twitch when mine don't. Its eyes, God, its eyes. They're too deep, too empty. I whisper, barely more than a breath. Who are you? The reflection smiles. Not a copy of my expression, its own. And then it whispers back. I'm you. My stomach clenches. I step back. The reflection doesn't. It keeps moving forward. I lurch away, my breath coming fast and uneven, but the thing in the mirror doesn't stop, doesn't blink. It leans closer. A slow, wet inhale. My own voice, layered and wrong. You let me in. I stumble, my shoulder colliding with the doorframe. My legs feel weak, like they barely belong to me. My mind is screaming, run, run, run. But my body hesitates. Because deep down, in some awful, suffocating part of me, I know it's telling the truth. I can feel it now, clear as day, the weight behind my eyes, the crawling sensation beneath my skin. Every breath I take isn't mine. Every movement feels just a little delayed, like something else is pulling the strings. I clutch the edge of the sink, knuckles white. The bathroom light flickers, casting jagged shadows across the walls. The reflection just watches, waiting. It knows what comes next. I shake my head. No, I can fight this. I squeeze my eyes shut, force my breath to slow. If I don't let it take control, if I resist, maybe I can still stop it. Silence stretches. Then, a whisper so soft it barely exists. You already did. My pulse stops. The air shifts. The weight behind my eyes tightens, like fingers pressing against the inside of my skull. And then, a slow, wheezing breath. Not from the reflection. From me. I snap my eyes open. The mirror is empty. No reflection. Nothing. Just a black, gaping void where my image should be. And in that abyss, something moves. I run. Out of the bathroom. Down the hallway. My vision swims, the walls bending and stretching at the edges of my sight. My limbs feel wrong, too long, too light, like I'm floating instead of running. I reach the front door, fumble with the lock, then freeze. Because the doorknob is turning on its own. Slow. Deliberate. The door creaks open. A figure stands in the hallway. Not Ryan. Not me. Something else. Something wearing my face. But its smile is wider than it should be. And its eyes are completely, utterly hollow. It lifts one pale, trembling hand, then presses a single, too long finger against its lips. S-H-H. I stagger back. My breath is ragged, desperate. The figure tilts its head. And then in my own voice, it's okay. It steps inside. I don't have time to run. The thing reaches for me. And this time, I don't fight it. Because some part of me knows. There's no point. There was never a point. This was always going to happen. I take one last, shuddering inhale. And as my own fingers twitch, as my skin tightens, hollows, stretches into something new, I realize the truth. I let it in. And now I can never let it out.